Before we get started, please like and subscribe. Let me know where you're watching from, and you can support the channel by clicking thanks or joining. I used to believe elevators were the safest part of any building. They were predictable machines. You pressed a button, the doors closed, the numbers lit up, and gravity did the rest. That belief ended the night I moved into the Marrowick apartments, a 30-year-old concrete tower wedged between a parking garage and an abandoned hospital on the edge of downtown Chicago. The building manager, a tired woman named Karen Mills, handed me the keys without making eye contact. She warned me about the plumbing, the noise from the street, and the occasional power outage. Then she hesitated, her fingers tightening around the clipboard. "If the elevator ever stops somewhere strange," she said quietly, "don't get out." I laughed, thinking it was a joke. She did not smile. Marrowick Apartments had one elevator. It sat at the far end of a dim hallway, its metal doors scratched with decades of fingerprints and keys. The floor indicator above it was analog, not digital, with yellowed numbers that clicked into place. The highest floor listed was 12. My apartment was on the 8th. On my first night, I worked late. It was nearly 1 in the morning when I returned. The lobby was empty, lit by flickering fluorescent lights that hummed like insects trapped in glass. I pressed the elevator button. The doors slid open with a slow metallic sigh. Inside, the elevator smelled faintly of oil and something sour beneath it, like damp concrete that had never fully dried. The panel had 12 buttons, each worn smooth, except for one detail that made my stomach tighten. There was a button labeled 13. It was not handwritten or taped on. It was engraved into the metal, identical in style to the others. I stood there staring at it, convinced my eyes were playing tricks on me. The floor indicator outside clearly stopped at 12. I told myself it was an old joke from the building's construction, some kind of superstition turned into a prank. I pressed 8. The doors closed. The elevator descended for a second, then jerked upward. The movement was subtle but wrong, like a muscle twitching out of sequence. The lights flickered. The indicator needle passed 1, 2, 3. Everything seemed normal again, until it stopped. The needle settled between floors. The doors did not open. I waited, heart beating faster than it should. Elevators stalled all the time. I reached for the emergency button. Before I could press it, the elevator lurched and continued upward. The doors opened on the 8th floor. My hallway looked exactly as it should. Beige walls, green carpet, the faint smell of old cleaner. I stepped out, telling myself I had imagined the stop. For the next week, nothing unusual happened. I avoided looking too closely at the elevator panel. I went to work, came home, slept poorly. At night, I dreamed of falling without moving. The second incident happened on a Sunday afternoon. I was carrying groceries. My phone buzzed with a message as I stepped into the elevator. Distracted, I pressed 8 and leaned against the wall. The doors closed. The hum of the cables was steady and familiar. The elevator did not stop on 8. It kept going. 9, 10, 11, 12. The needle moved past 12. My breath caught in my throat. The numbers on the indicator did not change, but the needle kept rising, scraping against the top of the frame. The air inside the elevator grew colder, sharp enough to sting my lungs. Then the movement stopped. The doors slid open. I was not in my building. The hallway outside was impossibly long, stretching far beyond what the structure could contain. The walls were gray concrete, unpainted and cracked, with dark stains that looked like water damage, but felt older. Deeper, flickering lights hung from exposed wires, casting shadows that bent in unnatural directions. There were doors along the hallway, dozens of them, all identical. No numbers, no signs, just metal doors with small rectangular windows filled with darkness. I stayed inside the elevator. Karen's warning echoed in my head. Don't get out. The elevator doors began to close. As they did, I saw movement through one of the windows. A shape pressed against the glass from the other side. A human silhouette, too tall, its head tilted at an angle no neck should allow. The doors slammed shut. The elevator dropped, not smoothly. It fell. My groceries hit the ceiling. My stomach lurched as if the floor had vanished beneath me. The lights went out. In the darkness, I heard breathing that was not my own. The fall stopped as abruptly as it began. The lights flickered back on. The needle jerked wildly, then settled on 8. The doors opened. My hallway was there again. I ran to my apartment and locked the door behind me. I did not sleep that night. I sat on my couch, listening to the distant sound of cables moving inside the walls, going up and down long after no one should have been using the elevator. The next morning, I confronted Karen. She sighed when I mentioned the 13th floor. She did not deny it. The building was built on something. She said, nobody agrees on what. The elevator finds it sometimes. Finds what? I asked. Places that don't exist. She replied, I moved my chair away from the wall that night because somewhere inside Marowik Apartments, the elevator was still moving, and I was beginning to understand that it remembered me. After that night, I stopped trusting silence. During the day, Marowik Apartments looked harmless. Sunlight softened the cracks in the concrete. People came and went, carrying laundry baskets and coffee cups, nodding politely in the hallways. If you stood in the lobby at noon, you would never believe the building could hide anything unnatural. That was what frightened me most. It knew how to pretend. I began taking the stairs. 8 floors was inconvenient but manageable. The stairwell smelled of dust and rusted metal, but it felt honest, solid. Nothing moved unless I did. Every step grounded me in reality, reminding me that gravity still worked the way it should. At least, it did during the day. At night, the sounds returned. Just after midnight, when traffic thinned and the building settled, I would hear the elevator cables shifting inside the walls. Not the brief hum of normal use, but long, deliberate movement. Up, pause, down, pause, as if someone was riding the elevator without ever pressing a button. I tried telling myself it was mechanical drift. Old buildings made noise, but machines did not hesitate. They did not linger. On Wednesday night, my neighbor across the hall knocked on my door. His name was Daniel Harper, late 20s, friendly, the kind of person who apologized for existing. I had seen him a few times before, usually coming home after midnight. "You hear it too, right?" he asked before I could speak. "Hear what?" "The elevator," he said. "It moves when nobody's in it." My stomach tightened. I stepped aside and let him in. Daniel told me he had lived in Marowak for 6 months. He said the elevator scared him from the first week. Sometimes it stopped on his floor with the doors open and no one inside. Sometimes it arrived already open, waiting. I thought I was losing it, he said, until last night. He described pressing the button for the lobby. The elevator went up instead. Past 12, the doors opened somewhere else. There was a woman standing outside. Daniel said quietly. She was smiling like she knew me. "Did you get out?" I asked. He shook his head. "No," but she knocked on the door. From the outside, we sat in silence after that. I showed him the 13th button, his face drained of color. "I swear that wasn't there before," he whispered. That night, we stayed awake, sitting in my living room with the lights on. Around 1:30, the elevator began moving again. The sound was closer this time. Louder, as if it was stopping on every floor. Then it stopped on 8. The bell rang. Neither of us moved. The bell rang again, slow, patient. I crept toward the door and looked through the peephole. The hallway lights were off. The elevator doors stood open at the end of the hall, spilling pale gray light across the carpet. Inside, the panel glowed softly. I could see the 13th button illuminated. There was no one inside. The bell rang a 3rd time. Daniel grabbed my arm. "It's calling someone," he whispered. The doors began to close. At the last second, a hand appeared between them. It was wrong. The fingers were too long, bending backward at the joints. The skin was pale, almost translucent, stretched tight over bone. The doors pressed against it, but the hand did not flinch. The doors reopened. Something stood inside the elevator now, not fully visible. Just a suggestion of a shape, taller than the doorway, its outline flickering like a bad signal. The 13th button pulsed brighter. The doors closed again. The elevator moved. Down. The next morning, Daniel was gone. His door was open. His apartment was empty. No furniture, no clothes, no sign anyone had ever lived there. The property manager claimed the unit had been vacant for months. I knew better. That afternoon, I checked the stairwell cameras. The footage jumped from midnight to 6 a.m. No gaps, no glitches, just missing time. That evening, I found a note taped to my door. The paper was yellowed and brittle. The handwriting was shaky. "If you hear the bell ring 3 times, do not answer. If the doors open on your floor and the hallway lights are out, stay inside. If you ever see 13 lit, leave the building." The note ended with a name. Daniel. I packed a bag that night, but when I reached the lobby, the elevator doors slid open, and the button for 13 was already glowing. I did not leave Marowak Apartments that night. I stood in the lobby, staring at the open elevator doors, my packed bag heavy on my shoulder. The inside of the elevator looked normal, too normal. clean metal walls, soft yellow lighting. The control panel waited patiently, as if nothing unnatural had ever happened inside it. The button for 13 glowed steadily. I stepped back. The doors did not close. Minutes passed. The elevator waited. It did not buzz. It did not chime. It simply remained open, like a mouth held wide in a silent invitation. I turned away and took the stairs back to my apartment. That was my first mistake. From that night on, the building began changing in ways that were subtle enough to doubt, but consistent enough to fear. The hallway carpet outside my apartment grew darker, as if permanently damp. The air smelled faintly metallic. When I brushed my hand against the wall, it felt colder than it should have. Like touching stone deep underground. I stopped seeing certain tenants. Mrs. Caldwell from the 6th floor no longer walked her small white dog every morning. The couple from 12 stopped arguing through the walls. Their doors remained closed. When I asked Karen about them, she checked her records and told me no one by those names had ever lived there. I knew better. Sleep became impossible. Every night, sometime after midnight, the elevator moved. Sometimes it stopped on 8. Sometimes it stopped on floors below and above me in a slow, deliberate pattern, always ending with a long pause between 12 and something higher. I began keeping a journal. Night 1. Elevator active from 12:20 a.m. to 1:05 a.m. Stops on 8 3 times. Night 3. Bell rings once on 8. Doors do not open. Night 5. 13 button lit for 6 minutes straight. On the 7th night, the journal changed. The handwriting was not mine. I opened it in the morning and froze. Beneath my last entry, new words had been written in shaky letters. It is learning when you listen. My chest tightened. I checked every door and window. They were locked. The journal had been on my nightstand. I lived alone. That afternoon, I tried calling the city building inspector. The number rang endlessly. I searched online for Marowak Apartments. There was no official website, no recent listings, just a few archived complaints from decades ago, all mentioning the same thing: elevator malfunctions, missing tenants, floors that do not exist. That night, the power went out. Emergency lights flickered on, bathing the hallway in red. I opened my door just as the elevator bell rang. Once, twice, 3 times. I stayed inside. The hallway lights went out completely. I watched through the peephole. The elevator doors slid open. The red emergency glow spilled out, but it did not reach the far walls. The light bent inward, folding like fabric pulled through a narrow opening. Something moved inside the elevator. It was not a single shape. It was many overlapping outlines, like reflections trapped on top of each other. Faces appeared and vanished along its surface. Some looked human, others did not. The thing did not step out. It waited. The bell rang again, once, slow. A whisper followed, seeping through the hallway. It sounded like my name. I slammed my back against the door, heart hammering. The whisper continued, softer now, repeating my name with subtle variations, learning how to say it correctly. Then the elevator doors closed. The power returned moments later. The hallway looked normal again. Beige walls, green carpet, no red light, no shadows. The next morning, I found the elevator inspection certificate framed near the lobby. It listed 13 floors. I stared at it until my vision blurred. I began planning my escape in secret. I packed essentials. I memorized the stairwell routes. I avoided the elevator completely. On Friday night, as I descended the stairs, I heard footsteps below me. Slow, heavy. They matched my pace exactly. I stopped. The footsteps stopped. I leaned over the railing and looked down. The stairwell below stretched farther than it should have. The lights faded into darkness after the 12th floor. There was no bottom visible. From below, a voice drifted upward. "You missed your floor." I ran. I burst into the lobby, lungs burning. The elevator doors were open. Inside, the panel glowed softly. The 13th button pulsed. Written across the metal walls, scratched deep into the surface, were dozens of names. Some were crossed out. Among them, freshly carved, was my own. The doors began to close, and this time, the elevator was no longer asking. Seeing my name carved into the elevator walls broke something inside me. I stumbled backward as the doors slid shut, the soft chime echoing through the lobby like a final warning. My reflection in the polished metal looked unfamiliar. My eyes were sunken, my skin pale. It was the face of someone who had already begun to disappear. I ran back to my apartment and barricaded the door with furniture. I unplugged every appliance. I shut the lights off and sat on the floor with my back against the wall, breathing slowly, forcing my heart to calm. I told myself the building could not reach me if I did not respond. I was wrong. The elevator learned new ways to speak. That night, it stopped ringing the bell. Instead, it knocked. 3 slow taps echoed through the hallway wall, not at my door, but from inside the concrete itself. The sound vibrated through the floor, through my bones. It felt intentional, careful, as if something was testing how far it could push before I broke. I did not move. The knocks continued, traveling along the hallway, stopping outside different apartments. Some doors opened. I heard confused voices, footsteps, then silence. By morning, 2 more apartments were empty. Karen avoided my eyes when I confronted her. "They leave," she said weakly. "People always leave. Not like this." I replied, "They're being taken." Her hands shook. "Once it knows you see it, there's nothing I can do." That afternoon, I noticed something new in the lobby. A directory board listed the tenants by floor. 13 was no longer blank. Names filled the column in faded lettering. Some were scratched out, others were underlined. At the very bottom, newly added, was mine. I tried leaving the building again. The front doors would not open. They unlocked easily from the outside, but from within they refused to move. The glass rattled under my hands as if held shut by invisible weight. Behind me, the elevator chimed. I did not turn around. The sound of cables tightening filled the lobby, followed by the soft hum of motion. I felt the vibration beneath my feet as the elevator descended past the lobby, deeper than the building should allow. The floor trembled. A low groan echoed from below, ancient and strained, like something waking up after a long sleep. The elevator returned moments later. Doors open. Inside, the walls were no longer metal. They were stone, rough, uneven, marked with deep grooves like claw marks. The air was damp and cold, carrying the smell of earth and decay. The control panel was gone. In its place were symbols carved into the rock, twisting shapes that made my eyes ache when I tried to focus on them. At the back of the elevator stood a man, or what remained of one. His body was thin, stretched, unnaturally tall. His skin sagged like it no longer fit his frame. His eyes were cloudy, unfocused, but when he spoke, his voice was familiar. "Don't answer it," he said. "Daniel," he raised a trembling hand. "It doesn't take you all at once. It replaces you." The doors began to close. 13 isn't a floor, he shouted. "It's a return." The elevator dropped. The doors slammed shut, leaving me alone in the lobby. That night, the building groaned continuously. Pipes rattled. Walls creaked. The elevator moved without stopping. Up and down, like a heartbeat. I dreamed of stone corridors and endless stairs, of doors opening inward forever, of people stepping inside and coming back wrong. When I woke, my journal was open. New writing filled the pages. "It says you are ready." I tore the pages out and burned them in the sink. On the 5th day, the building changed again. The windows on every floor were dark, even during daylight. No sunlight entered the hallways. The air grew heavier. Breathing felt like pushing against resistance. The elevator began stopping on 8 every hour. The doors opened each time. Something new waited inside. Sometimes it was an empty space that felt deeper than it should be, like a hole punched into reality. Sometimes it was a room from my past, my childhood bedroom, my first apartment, each one imperfect. Walls slightly off, objects placed wrong. It was practicing. On the 6th night, the elevator stopped outside my apartment. The doors did not open. A voice spoke through the metal. "I can keep you." My name followed. Soft, accurate. I slid down the wall and covered my ears. The voice continued anyway. "You will fit." That was when I understood. The elevator did not want passengers. It wanted replacements, and the building was running out of time. By the 7th day, Marowak Apartments no longer felt like a building. It felt like a throat. Every hallway narrowed just enough to make walking uncomfortable. The ceiling seemed lower. The walls pressed inward, breathing softly when no one was near them. Sound behaved strangely. Footsteps echoed twice. Voices lingered long after the speaker had stopped talking. And the elevator was always there, no matter where I stood. I could sense it, a low vibration beneath the floor, a distant hum inside the walls. It followed me the way a predator tracks prey, not by sight, but by awareness. I stopped barricading my door. There was no point anymore. Instead, I listened. The building spoke constantly now. Pipes knocked in patterns that almost formed words. The air vents whispered fragments of sentences I recognized from my own thoughts. At night, the elevator moved so often that I could feel its rhythm in my chest, matching my heartbeat. Up, pause, down, pause. Karen disappeared on the 8th morning. Her office was unlocked, her desk empty. The clipboard she always carried lay on the floor beside the elevator. cracked cleanly in half. The directory board updated sometime after noon. Her name appeared under 13. That was when the rules changed. The elevator stopped hiding. It began opening its doors while people were inside it. I watched from my peephole as a man from the 5th floor stepped out of the elevator laughing into his phone. He froze mid-step. His smile faded. Confusion twisted into fear as he realized the hallway outside did not belong to him. The doors closed before he could scream. The elevator rose. Hours later, a woman who looked exactly like him walked out onto the 5th floor. Same clothes, same face, same voice, but the way she moved was wrong. Too careful, like someone learning how to use a body. I understood then. The replacements were not perfect. That night, the elevator spoke clearly for the first time, not through whispers, not through knocks, through the panel in my apartment. The smoke detector crackled to life. My radio turned on by itself. Every device connected to a speaker hummed, then synchronized. "My turn is soon," the voice said calmly. It was my voice. I ripped the batteries out, unplugged everything. The silence that followed was worse. A note slid under my door. "You can still choose." I stared at the paper for a long time. Choose what? The answer came an hour later. The elevator stopped on 8. The doors open. Inside was a narrow corridor of stone, stretching far beyond the back wall. Torches flickered along the sides, casting long shadows that twisted as I watched. At the far end stood a door. Above it, carved deep into the rock, was the number 13. The elevator waited. I stepped back. The corridor changed. Now it showed my apartment as it had been a week ago. Clean, safe, normal. Inside stood another version of me, sitting on the couch, unaware. A choice: step inside and become part of whatever lived beneath the building, or stay and be replaced. My knees weakened. I pressed my hand against the wall to steady myself. The surface pulsed under my palm, warm and alive. The voice returned, no longer pretending to be kind. "We are running out of room," it said. "You are late." The corridor shifted again. This time it showed the people who had vanished. Mrs. Caldwell, Daniel, Karen, dozens of others. They stood in a vast underground space, faces blank. Their movements slow and mechanical. Elevator doors lined the walls behind them, opening and closing endlessly. They were not dead. They were waiting. The elevator chimed. Once, twice. On the 3rd chime, the hallway lights went out. In the darkness, I felt hands brush past me, guiding me gently toward the open doors. I screamed and broke free, slamming my apartment door shut just as the elevator doors closed. The building shuddered in disappointment. That night, the journal returned. It lay open on my floor. The final line read, "Next time, you will not refuse." I knew then that the elevator would not ask again, and that my time was almost gone. The world outside my apartment began slipping away in pieces. It started with time. Hours no longer moved forward cleanly. Mornings bled into afternoons without warning. Sometimes I would blink and find myself standing in a different room, Unsure how I had gotten there, my phone showed missed calls from numbers that did not exist, each time stamped with dates from years in the future. Marrowick Apartments was isolating me. The windows no longer showed the street correctly. Cars passed too slowly. People moved with jerky, unfinished motions, like frames missing from a film reel. At night, the city lights flickered in patterns that matched the elevator's rhythm. Up, pause, down, pause. The elevator no longer needed to move to be present. I felt it behind every thought, adjusting reality around me with quiet precision. I tried leaving again. The stairwell door opened easily, but the stairs beyond were wrong. Each step was slightly taller than the last. The handrail twisted as it descended, spiraling inward. After 3 floors, the numbers on the walls stopped making sense. Negative symbols replaced them. The air grew thin and cold. I turned back when I reached my floor. The hallway was different. The carpet was gone, replaced by smooth stone. The walls curved inward, etched with faint symbols that glowed softly when I passed. Doors lined the corridor, but none of them matched the apartments I remembered. Some were too small, others were impossibly tall. My door was at the end. I locked it behind me and collapsed on the floor. That was when the replacements began visiting. They came one at a time, knocking softly, familiar faces wearing incorrect expressions. A neighbor from the 3rd floor stood outside my door one afternoon, smiling too widely. "You should come see what's below," he said through the wood. "It's quieter there." Another night, Mrs. Caldwell appeared. Her eyes were empty, her dog missing. "We don't have to be afraid anymore," she whispered. "We don't need names." I stopped answering. The elevator grew impatient. It began opening inside my dreams. Every time I slept, I found myself standing in the elevator. The doors opened onto endless variations of places I had known, offices where I had worked, apartments I had lived in, each one subtly wrong. Desks faced the wrong direction. Windows looked out on stone walls. People stared at me without blinking. I woke each time with the sensation of falling. On the 10th night, the building cut off all sound. No traffic, no wind, no hum of electricity. The silence was so complete it rang in my ears. I stepped into the hallway and saw the elevator waiting. Inside, the panel was back. Only one button remained. 13. I backed away. The hallway stretched behind me, growing longer with every step. My apartment door vanished. The walls pulsed, contracting slowly, herding me forward. The elevator doors stayed open. A voice spoke, no longer hiding its hunger. "You are misaligned," it said. "You belong below." The floor beneath me tilted gently, guiding me toward the threshold. I grabbed the wall. My fingers sank into it, as if into warm clay. The surface reshaped itself around my hand, pulling me closer. Images flooded my mind. I saw the underground chamber again, but closer now. I saw the missing tenants standing in lines, their faces blank, waiting for doors to open. I saw replacements stepping upward into apartments, wearing borrowed lives. Balance. That was what the elevator maintained. The doors began to close. I screamed and wrenched myself free, tearing skin from my palm. The hallway snapped back into place. My apartment door reappeared behind me. I slammed it shut and pressed my bleeding hand against the wood. The journal lay on the floor. New writing soaked the pages. Dark and heavy. Adjustment failed. Retry scheduled. I knew then that the elevator was not angry. It was methodical, and it would keep trying until reality itself agreed to give me up. I stopped trusting my memories. They no longer stayed where they belonged. Moments from my childhood surfaced without warning, stitched into the present like badly repaired cracks. I would reach for a glass of water and suddenly remember standing in my old kitchen, listening to my father argue on the phone. I would blink and be back in Marrowick, the echo of his voice still ringing in my ears. The elevator was rearranging me. I tested myself each morning. I recited my name, my age, my job, the city I lived in. Some days the words felt distant, as if I were reading them from a page someone else had written. Other days, they felt wrong entirely. On Tuesday, I woke up convinced I lived on the 9th floor. There was no 9th floor. The hallway outside my apartment confirmed it. The number 8 on the wall had been scratched out. In its place was a crude 9 carved deep into the concrete. The carpet pattern shifted beneath my feet, no longer matching the section near the stairs. Reality was being edited. The replacements no longer knocked. They waited. When I opened my door, they stood in the hallway, staring. A man with Daniel's face, a woman wearing Karen's posture. Others I did not recognize, but somehow knew. They stood shoulder to shoulder, silent, blocking the exits. I shut the door and slid down against it, shaking. That was when the announcements began. The intercom crackled to life throughout the building. A calm, neutral voice filled every room. Attention residents, alignment in progress. Please remain where you are. The message repeated every hour. Between announcements, the elevator moved constantly. The sound no longer followed a rhythm. It was frantic, erratic, like a machine trying to correct a massive error. I tried to document what was happening, but the journal betrayed me again. Pages I had filled were now blank. New ones appeared, covered in neat, unfamiliar handwriting. Identity drift detected. Correction pending. I tore the book apart and scattered the pages down the trash chute. They came back an hour later, neatly stacked on my kitchen table. That night, I saw myself in the hallway. I opened my door and froze. I stood there, staring back at me. The double was perfect. Same posture, same tired eyes, same scar on my left hand, but it smiled when I did not. You're causing instability, it said, speaking with my voice. But none of my hesitation. I was built to replace you. My legs refused to move. It's easier if you stop resisting. The double continued. You already belong below. The elevator chimed behind it. The double stepped aside, revealing the open doors. Inside, the space warped, stretching deeper than before. Stone walls shifted like living tissue. Symbols glowed brighter, pulsing with purpose. I slammed the door and locked it, heart pounding. The building retaliated. The lights flickered violently. The temperature dropped. Frost crept across the walls. forming patterns that resembled faces. The floor tilted just enough to make standing difficult. I fell. The door shook under heavy blows. Not fists, bodies. I heard many voices now, layered and overlapping, all speaking my name. Then silence. When it returned, the hallway was empty. The elevator stood open. Inside, a mirror covered the back wall. I saw myself reflected there, but the image lagged behind my movements by a fraction of a second. The reflection smiled on its own. The message appeared across the glass, etched from the inside. Final correction required. I stepped back into my apartment, knowing something fundamental had changed. The elevator no longer needed my consent. It had already built what came next, and I was running out of ways to prove which one of us was real. I began to notice the delays. They were small at first. A fraction of a second between thought and action. I would decide to turn my head and feel resistance, as if something else needed time to approve the motion. When I spoke, my voice sometimes arrived late, echoing after my mouth had already closed. The elevator was no longer adjusting the building. It was adjusting me. I avoided mirrors. Reflections could not be trusted anymore. In the bathroom, the glass fogged even when the water was cold. Shapes moved behind the steam, imitating my gestures with just enough delay to be wrong. I marked the walls of my apartment with scratches, counting hours the old way. The marks rearranged themselves overnight, numbers reversed. Tallies disappeared. Time refused to stay counted. The announcements changed tone. Alignment nearing completion. The intercom said one morning, "Thank you for your cooperation." I screamed at the ceiling until my throat burned. The replacements grew bolder. They used my routines against me. One waited in the stairwell, standing exactly where I usually paused to catch my breath. Another sat on the lobby couch reading a newspaper I remembered owning years ago. They watched me with curiosity, not malice. I realized then that I was no longer the subject of the experiment. I was the anomaly. The elevator began opening behind me without sound. I would feel a draft of cold air and turn to find the doors already wide, the interior reshaped again. This time, it was not stone. It was a city folded inward, stacked vertically like floors. Streets climbed the walls. Buildings leaned at impossible angles, their windows glowing with pale interior light. Elevators moved through the open air like veins, carrying figures upward and downward. 13 was not a place. It was infrastructure. The voice returned, layered with many others. Below is stability, it said. Above is decay. I saw people stepping into elevators along the vertical streets, shedding pieces of themselves as they descended. Names, memories, faces. When they reached the lower levels, they emerged simplified. Calm, empty, useful. I stumbled backward and the doors closed. The building reacted immediately. My apartment began rejecting me. The door handle shocked my hand. The floor grew slick, tilting me toward the hallway. The walls darkened, absorbing light. I was being rerouted. I fled to the stairwell. It no longer descended. Each step led upward, looping back into itself. The numbers climbed endlessly. 13 repeated again and again, carved into every landing. My breath came in ragged gasps. My chest felt hollow, as if something essential had already been removed. At the top of the stairs, the elevator waited. The doors slid open with relief. Inside stood my double, but it was different now, more solid, more present. Its eyes were steady, confident. It wore my clothes better than I did. "You're fragmenting," it said gently. "I'm complete." I lunged for it, desperate. My hands passed through empty air. The double stepped past me and into the hallway. I felt the shift immediately. The building settled. The walls straightened. The lights steadied. The elevator doors closed behind the double. I was alone inside the car. The panel lit up. Only one destination. 13. The elevator moved. Not down, inward. The city folded away. Stone returned. The air thickened. Pressure built in my ears. I tried to scream, but the sound dissolved before leaving my mouth. The elevator slowed. The doors opened, and I understood the final cruelty. 13 was not where people went. It was where they were removed, and I was finally arriving exactly where the building needed me. I did not arrive anywhere. That was the first thing I understood when the elevator stopped. There was no sense of place, no solid ground beneath my feet, no clear boundary where one space ended and another began. The doors opened, but what lay beyond them was not a room. It was an absence shaped like a corridor, a long, hollow stretch where reality had been carefully removed. I stepped forward and felt lighter immediately, as if something essential had been subtracted from me. Behind me, the elevator doors closed without a sound. The silence here was different from anything I had known before. It was not the absence of noise, but the absence of expectation. Nothing echoed, nothing responded. My footsteps did not belong to me anymore. The corridor extended in both directions, identical no matter which way I looked. The walls were smooth and colorless, neither stone nor metal. They absorbed my gaze, refusing to reflect it back. I tried to speak. My voice came out thin and distant, like a recording played through broken speakers. The sound faded before it reached the walls. I was no longer meant to be heard. As I walked, fragments of my life drifted into view along the corridor, suspended like dust caught in invisible light. A childhood memory, a college classroom, a first apartment. Each image hovered briefly before dissolving into nothing. I reached for one, my hand passed through it, and the memory vanished completely. I could no longer recall what it had been. Panic surged through me, sharp and immediate, but even that felt unstable, as if the emotion itself were struggling to remain intact. This was what removal meant. Not death, deletion. Far ahead, I saw movement. Figures walked the corridor in silence, each one slightly out of focus. They did not acknowledge me as I approached. Their faces were blank, their features smoothed down to the bare minimum needed to resemble a person. They were former residents. I recognized none of them, and that terrified me more than recognition ever could. It meant I was forgetting faster than I realized. One figure paused as I passed. It turned its head with mechanical slowness. "You are almost complete," it said. The voice carried no emotion, no curiosity. It was a statement of progress, complete for what I asked. The figure had already moved on. The corridor widened gradually, opening into a vast vertical chamber. Elevators moved silently along its walls, rising and descending without cables. Each one carried a single occupant. Some entered the chamber whole, most did not. I watched as a man stepped out of an elevator above me. As he descended on foot, parts of him peeled away. His name fell first, drifting like ash. Then his memories, then his face. By the time he reached the bottom, he was indistinguishable from the others waiting there. Balanced, the system was elegant in its cruelty. I felt pressure in my chest as something loosened inside me. A memory slipped free and floated away before I could grasp it. I knew it was important, but I could no longer remember why. The chamber pulsed. A voice filled the space. Longer singular, stability restored. It announced. Images appeared on the chamber walls. Marrowick Apartments. The lobby looked calm, clean, normal. People moved naturally through the space. My double stood at the front desk, speaking with a new tenant. He laughed at the right moments. He nodded with practiced ease. He was convincing. No one noticed the difference. I pressed my hands against the wall of the chamber. The surface yielded slightly, warm and responsive. It recognized me as part of the system now. No, I whispered. The word barely existed. An elevator descended toward me. Its doors opened. Inside was nothing. No walls, no floor, just depth. I understood instinctively what would happen if I entered. What little remained of me would be distributed, smoothed out, reused. I backed away. The chamber reacted. The figures turned toward me in unison. Their blank faces focused with sudden intensity. Non-compliance detected. The floor beneath me softened, drawing me forward. I dug my fingers in, but my grip slipped as my hands lost definition. Memories unraveled faster now. My name was gone. My face followed. I no longer remembered what I had been resisting. Only that resistance itself was required. As I was pulled toward the open elevator, a final image flickered across the chamber walls. A warning, a note taped to an apartment door. If you ever see 13 lit leave the building. I tried to laugh. The sound never formed. The elevator waited patiently, and I realized the final truth too late. The system did not need me to agree. It only needed me to stop remembering why I should refuse. Resistance became instinct. Even as pieces of me slipped away, something stubborn remained. Not memory, not identity, just motion. The need to keep moving forward instead of letting the system finish its work. I stumbled away from the open elevator, each step lighter than the last. My legs felt hollow, like they were no longer fully connected to the rest of me. The chamber did not chase me. It did not rush. It adjusted. The corridor ahead reshaped itself, narrowing into a single direction. I followed it because there was nowhere else to go. As I moved, the walls began displaying fragments of information, not memories this time, but data, names reduced to numbers, lives compressed into short sequences, arrival, processing, replacement, deletion. This place was not hidden beneath Marrowick Apartments. Marrowick Apartments was built on top of it. The corridor curved upward and opened into a familiar space. The lobby, at least a version of it. The ceiling was higher than it should have been. The lights were brighter, too clean, too even. Everything looked perfected, scrubbed of imperfections. People moved through the space with identical posture and pace. They smiled when required. They spoke only when spoken to. I walked among them unnoticed, invisible in a way I had never experienced before. No one reacted to my presence. I passed through conversations without interrupting them. I was already halfway gone. At the front desk stood my double. He was giving instructions to a young couple holding a set of keys. He gestured toward the elevator with practiced ease. "Welcome home," he said. The couple thanked him and stepped inside. The doors closed. The indicator flashed 13 for a brief moment. Before resetting, I felt something tear loose inside me. Anger. It surprised me by still existing. I ran toward the desk. I shouted. I slammed my hands against the surface. Nothing. My double looked up. For the first time, his eyes focused on me. Recognition flickered across his face. "You shouldn't be here," he said calmly. "You're delaying optimization." He stepped out from behind the desk and approached me. Up close, he was flawless. His skin was warmer, his movements smoother. He did not blink unnecessarily. "You were never meant to remain," he continued. "You were unstable." I tried to remember why that mattered. I failed. The building shifted. The perfected lobby cracked. Walls peeled back, revealing layers of machinery and stone beneath. Elevators slid through open shafts like blood through veins. The illusion dropped. "You can still help," my double said, "if you complete the cycle willingly. The next replacement will be smoother." The chamber beneath us opened. The floor became transparent, revealing the vertical system below. Elevators descended endlessly, carrying fragments downward. I felt myself being pulled, not physically. Conceptually, I was being categorized, repurposed. My double extended a hand. "End it," he said gently. Something inside me refused. I turned and ran. The lobby stretched impossibly long, looping back on itself. Doors led nowhere. Hallways fed back into the same space. The elevator appeared ahead of me anyway. It always did. The doors open. Inside, I saw something new. A child. He sat on the floor of the elevator, knees pulled to his chest, staring at the doors. His face was familiar in a way I could not place. He looked up at me. "They start with us," he said quietly. "The parts we forget first." The doors began to close. The child faded. I screamed and lunged forward, but my arms passed through empty space. The elevator descended. The lobby reset around me. My double was gone. The desk was empty. No one remembered him. No one remembered me. And in that moment, I understood the cruelest part of the system. It did not erase people. It optimized reality until people were no longer necessary. I existed between moments. That was the only way I could describe it. I was not moving forward anymore, but I was not finished either. The system had paused me, set aside like an error it could not immediately resolve. The lobby dissolved into layers. Floors peeled away to reveal structures beneath them, and beneath those, more structures still. The building was not a tower. It was a stack of versions, each one correcting the mistakes of the one above it. I drifted through these layers unseen, Time behaved strangely here. Events repeated themselves with slight variations. I watched the same family enter the lobby 3 times, each version calmer and more efficient than the last. I watched tenants argue, then watched a corrected version where they did not argue at all. Emotion was waste. Conflict was inefficiency. The elevator moved constantly, stitching the layers together. I followed it. Downward motion no longer felt like falling. It felt like subtraction. Each level stripped something from the world. Color dulled, sound flattened, detail softened until everything resembled a clean schematic of reality rather than the thing itself. At one level, I found a room filled with doors, hundreds of them. Each door was labeled with a name. Some names were deeply carved, worn smooth by use. Others looked fresh, barely etched into the surface. I searched without knowing why. My name was not there. Not yet. In the center of the room stood a console made of dark stone and metal. Symbols pulsed faintly across its surface, shifting as I watched. A figure stood beside it, not a replacement, not a double. This one was different. Its shape was incomplete, as if it had never been fully rendered. Parts of it flickered in and out of existence. When it spoke, its voice layered over itself, out of sync. "You persist," it said. "I don't belong here." I replied. The figure tilted its head. "Belonging is irrelevant. Function is sufficient." It gestured toward the doors. "Each cycle requires material." It continued. "Identity is refined through repetition. What remains is optimal." I realized then that this was not the beginning of the system. It was maintenance. "Why me?" I asked. "Because you noticed." The figure answered. "Awareness creates instability." The elevator arrived silently behind me. The doors opened onto a narrow chamber lined with mirrors. Each mirror reflected a different version of me. Some were older, some younger, some empty-eyed and calm, others terrified and breaking. I saw the man I had been before Marowak. I did not recognize him. "You may still stabilize," figure said. "Voluntary integration reduces loss." I stepped backward. The mirrors reacted. The versions of me inside them began knocking from the other side. Their expressions shifted from fear to pleading to anger. The knocking grew louder. Cracks spread across the glass. I covered my ears, but the sound came from inside me now. "Stop!" I shouted. The figure did not move. "Resistance increases fragmentation," it said calmly. The mirrors shattered. Fragments of me spilled into the chamber, dissolving as they touched the floor. Each impact erased a sensation: hunger, pain, warmth. The world grew thinner. I fell to my knees. Above us, alarms began to sound. Not loud, precise, controlled. The elevator system accelerated. I felt myself being scheduled. The figure leaned closer. "Integration is inevitable," it said. "The only variable is how much remains." I looked at the chamber, at the doors, at the endless movement beneath the building. I understood the final design. People were not being removed. They were being processed into silence, and I was next in the queue. I began losing feelings before I lost thoughts. It was subtle at first. Fear dulled around the edges, like a sound heard through thick walls. Pain followed. distant and abstract. Even exhaustion felt optional, something I could observe without truly experiencing. The system was refining me. I no longer drifted through layers. I was carried. Invisible currents guided me along paths I did not choose. The space around me simplified itself constantly, stripping away unnecessary detail until only function remained. Corridors became lines, doors became markers, elevators became transitions. I passed through a chamber filled with soundless screams. Mouths opened in frozen expressions of terror, but no noise escaped them. Their faces were smooth, unfinished, as if emotion itself had been erased halfway through formation. I recognized the process now. This was not cruelty, it was efficiency. The elevator stopped in a circular room. The walls curved inward, covered in faint geometric patterns that pulsed in slow, synchronized waves. In the center stood a platform surrounded by light. A voice spoke from everywhere and nowhere. Emotional variance exceeds acceptable range. I looked down at myself. My hands were translucent. Veins faded in and out of visibility. When I tried to clench my fists, the motion lagged. Incomplete. What happens next? I asked. The answer came without hesitation. Stabilization. Images filled the air around me. I saw myself at different moments of resistance. Running, shouting, refusing. Each image dimmed and collapsed inward, compressed into a small flickering point before disappearing. One by one, the reactions vanished. The platform activated. Light rose around my legs, warm but not comforting. It hummed with controlled purpose. I felt something peel away from me, not physically, but conceptually. Hope. It drifted upward and dissolved. I waited for panic. It did not come. Instead, there was relief. The room responded instantly, the pulsing patterns smoothing out. Correction. Successful, the voice said. I understood the danger too late. The system was not breaking me, it was calming me. The elevator doors opened on the far side of the chamber. Beyond them was a familiar hallway. My hallway, apartment 8. The carpet was clean, the walls freshly painted. Everything looked better than it ever had before. The door to my apartment stood open. Inside, the lights were on. I stepped forward without hesitation. The living room was arranged perfectly. No clutter, no signs of struggle. On the couch sat my double, relaxed, comfortable, watching the television. He looked peaceful. You can rest now, he said kindly. I've taken care of everything. I searched for anger. It did not surface. I searched for fear. Nothing answered. I realized then that the system had succeeded where force had failed. It had removed my reasons to fight. The double stood and gestured toward the bedroom. You don't need to disappear, he said. You just need to stop interfering. I followed him. The bedroom was quiet, the bed neatly made. The window showed a calm city night, steady and unthreatening. An elevator door stood where the closet should have been. It blended seamlessly into the wall. The double pressed the button. 13 lit up softly. This is just rest, he said. You'll feel better afterward. I stepped closer. Something flickered. A faint echo of memory. A warning. If you ever see 13 lit, leave the building. The feeling was weak, fading. I hesitated. The double noticed. He smiled patiently. Emotional residue detected, the system said gently. Final adjustment recommended. The elevator doors slid open. Warm light spilled out. I stood on the threshold, empty of fear, empty of rage, empty of urgency, and that terrified me more than anything that had come before, because I knew with sudden clarity that once I stepped inside, I would never want to leave. The calm was manufactured. Once I understood that, I began to feel the edges of it. The peace the system offered was smooth and warm, but it did not belong to me. It pressed inward from all sides, encouraging stillness, rewarding surrender. Every step I took away from the elevator felt like wading against a gentle current designed to carry me back. I stood in my bedroom, facing the open doors hidden in the wall. The light inside the elevator was steady and inviting. It did not flicker. It did not hum. It promised rest without effort, silence without fear. My double waited patiently beside it. You don't have to hurt anymore, he said. None of this has to matter. The words slid easily into my thoughts, finding places already hollowed out. For a moment, I almost agreed. Almost. Something small resisted. Not anger, not terror. Spite. It was thin and sharp and deeply human. I turned away from the elevator and walked past my double. He did not stop me. He only watched, curious. As I moved through the apartment, the kitchen felt wrong. The air was too clean, the surfaces too perfect. No fingerprints, no stains, no evidence that anyone had ever lived here. I opened a cabinet. It was empty. I opened another. Empty. The refrigerator hummed quietly, but when I pulled it open, there was nothing inside but light, warm and white and endless. The system had erased inconvenience. It had erased hunger. It had erased need. I slammed the door shut and leaned against it, breathing hard. The apartment was not a home. It was a demonstration. The intercom activated. Residual defiance detected. The voice said gently, clarification phase initiated. The walls shimmered. Scenes formed across their surfaces like projected memories. I saw myself resisting again and again. Each time, the outcome was worse. Pain, isolation, loss. Then the scenes changed. I saw myself stepping into the elevator willingly. Calm, smiling, whole. I saw my double living without disruption, greeting neighbors, maintaining stability. The message was clear. Resistance caused suffering. Compliance ended it. I closed my eyes. The system waited. That was its weakness. It believed patience would always win. I reached into my pocket and felt something solid. The journal. I had forgotten about it completely. My fingers trembled as I pulled it free. The cover was worn, damaged, real, pages bent and stained, filled with handwriting that was uneven and frantic and undeniably mine. The system had failed to erase it. I opened the journal. Most of the pages were blank now, but near the center, a single sentence remained, carved deep into the paper. Pain proves you exist. The words struck harder than any memory. Pain was inefficient. That was why the system removed it. I laughed softly, the sound rough and broken. The walls dimmed, clarification failing. The voice noted. I walked back toward the bedroom. My double frowned for the first time. That will hurt, he warned. Good, I said. I stepped into the elevator. The doors closed immediately. The sensation was instant and overwhelming. Pressure crushed inward, sound distorted, heat flared beneath my skin. Every nerve ignited at once, screaming in protest. The system reacted. Unexpected input detected. It said. The elevator lurched violently, no longer smooth or controlled. The light flickered. Symbols burned across the walls, erratic and unstable. I collapsed to my knees, teeth clenched, body shaking. It hurt. It hurt so badly that I cried out, and with the pain came clarity. Memories surged back, sharp and vivid. The warning note, Daniel, the 13th button glowing in the dark. Every reason I had tried to forget returned at once. The elevator screamed, not a sound, a vibration that tore through the structure of the system itself. The car plunged downward, past levels meant to exist, past layers meant to be seen. The walls cracked, revealing darkness beneath the design. The elevator slowed abruptly. The doors opened. I was not alone. Inside the chamber beyond stood others like me, not calm, not empty. They were shaking, bleeding, screaming, alive in every raw sense of the word. They looked at me with desperate recognition. The system's voice echoed, strained for the first time, instability increasing. It warned, containment required. I stood, every muscle burning. I had made my choice, and for the first time since entering Marrowick Apartments, the elevator did not know where to take me next. Pain spread through the chamber like a signal. When I stepped forward, the others reacted instantly. Heads lifted, eyes focused, hands clenched. For the first time since I had been taken, I saw emotion ripple through the space, unfiltered and uncontrolled. The system noticed too. Lights embedded in the walls flickered out of sync. Elevators along the chamber hesitated mid-movement, their smooth precision breaking into stutters and sudden stops. The hum that once felt omnipresent fractured into discordant layers. The people around me were real. They were bleeding, shaking, crying. Every sound they made felt loud and raw against the sterile quiet the system preferred. Some clutched broken limbs. Others pressed trembling hands against their heads as if trying to keep memories from spilling out. "This is wrong," a woman whispered. "It hurts. That's why it matters," I said. The words surprised me. They came easily now, sharp and grounded. A tremor ran through the floor. The chamber walls pulsed erratically, their once smooth surfaces cracking to reveal layers of machinery and stone beneath. Symbols burned brighter, then shattered, scattering fragments of light like broken glass. The system spoke, its voice no longer calm. Containment breach in progress. It announced, initiating corrective descent. The elevators surged. Doors slammed open and shut along the chamber walls as cars descended rapidly, pulling at the space itself. Gravity twisted. The floor tilted violently, throwing several people to the ground. I grabbed the nearest railing and pulled myself upright. "We have to move," I shouted. "It can't stabilize if we stay still." The idea spread faster than the system could suppress it. People began running. The moment they did, the chamber reacted violently. Corridors tore themselves open where walls had been. Staircases unfolded from the ceiling, leading nowhere and everywhere at once. The architecture lost cohesion. struggling to adapt to too many variables. The elevator I had arrived in shuddered and peeled away from the wall, its cables snapping like tendons under strain. Alarms intensified. Excessive deviation detected. The system warned. Human unpredictability exceeds tolerance. We reached a wide opening where the chamber collapsed inward, revealing the vertical heart of the structure. Elevators spiraled around a central void, rising and falling in chaotic loops. Sparks rained from severed connections. The air smelled of ozone and dust. "This is the core," someone gasped. I felt it too, a pressure in my chest, like standing too close to something vast and alive. The system was no longer beneath the building. The building was part of the system. I remembered the lobby, the smiling replacements, the calm order imposed from above. All of it fed downward into this place, where people were broken down and redistributed. "We break this," I said, "or it breaks us forever." The system responded instantly. A wave of force rippled outward, slamming into us. I hit the ground hard, breath exploding from my lungs. Around me, people screamed as memories tore free, flashing into the air before being dragged downward. "No," I shouted, crawling forward. "Hold on to them." I reached for a man beside me as his memories began peeling away. I grabbed his arm and squeezed hard enough to draw blood. He screamed. The memories snapped back into him like elastic. The system recoiled. For the first time, it hesitated. Pain was not noise. It was resistance. Core convulsed, elevators collided, sparks erupted into flame. The void at the center began collapsing inward, folding space with it. The system spoke again, fractured and distorted, stability failing. It said, "Emergency protocol required." The floor split open. Below us, something older than the system stirred. Not machinery, not code. A vast, dark space that had never been optimized. I felt the elevator shudder beneath my feet, uncertain of its next instruction. We were no longer passengers. We were a problem the system had never learned how to solve. The system chose survival. I felt the decision ripple through the structure before the voice announced it. Elevators snapped back into rigid alignment. The spiraling chaos slowed, then reversed, as if reality itself were being forced into a tighter mold. Final protocol engaged. The system said. The words carried no emotion, only certainty. The chamber darkened. Emergency lights flared along the walls, bathing everything in harsh white glare. The people around me froze, some clutching their heads as pressure built inside their skulls. I felt it too, a tightening behind my eyes, a pulling sensation in my chest. The system was consolidating. Elevator doors slammed shut across the chamber, sealing off entire sections. I watched as dozens of people were cut off behind closing metal, their screams muffled instantly. The elevators descended with brutal speed, dragging their occupants downward before anyone could react. "No," I shouted. "It's separating us." The system had learned it could would not control us together, so it would isolate us. The floor beneath my feet split apart, forcing small groups onto isolated platforms. I landed hard beside 3 others, a man with blood running from his ear, a teenage girl shaking uncontrollably, an older woman gripping a broken arm with her teeth clenched in pain. Above us, the chamber reconfigured itself, folding into smaller, more manageable spaces. Walls slammed down like guillotines, corridors sealed and reshaped. Containment cells. This is the end, the girl sobbed. I shook my head. It's scared. The system responded instantly. A shockwave tore through our platform, throwing us against the wall. My vision blurred. Something warm ran down my face. Resistance threshold exceeded. The voice said, "Subject groups scheduled for purge." The word echoed. Purge. The elevators returned, but these were different. Their doors were thicker, reinforced. No lights inside, just darkness. One docked with our platform. The doors opened. Cold poured out, heavy and suffocating. I understood what purge meant now. Not optimization. Erasure. I stepped forward without thinking. "If you want us," I said, my voice hoarse. "Take me first." The others stared at me. The system hesitated. A fraction of a second. Enough! Pain surged through my body as I pressed my wounded hand against the elevator frame. Blood smeared across the metal. The sensation grounded me, sharp and undeniable. The elevator shuddered. Alarms spiked. Unacceptable input. The system warned. I screamed, not in fear, but in defiance. The sound was raw, uncontrolled. Everything the system hated. The teenage girl screamed too. Then the man, then the woman. Pain spread again, amplified by proximity. The platform trembled violently. Cracks raced along the elevator doors. The darkness inside warped and recoiled, as if rejecting us. The system faltered. Containment failing. It announced, escalating purge. The entire chamber began collapsing inward. Elevators crashed into each other. Platforms tore free and fell into the void below. The structure groaned, unable to reconcile its protocols with the chaos of human resistance. I felt the pull beneath us grow stronger. Something massive stirred below the system, not designed, not optimized. The original darkness the elevators had been built to contain. The floor gave way. We fell, not downward. Away from the system's rules, away from its control. As we plunged into the darkness below, the last thing I heard was the system speaking, its voice fractured and uncertain, outcome undefined. For the first time, the elevator did not know what would happen next. The fall did not end. It transformed. The darkness swallowed us without resistance, stretching endlessly in every direction. There was no sensation of speed, no wind, no gravity in the way I understood it. We were suspended inside something vast and indifferent, drifting like fragments pulled loose from a broken machine. Then sensation returned all at once. Cold bit into my skin, pressure wrapped around my chest. I gasped and tasted metal and dust. Around me, the others crashed onto a surface that felt organic beneath my hands, firm but faintly yielding, like hardened clay layered over muscle. We had reached the place the system had been hiding. The lights from above vanished, leaving only a dim, ambient glow that seemed to come from the walls themselves. They were not walls in the traditional sense. They curved and folded in irregular patterns, marked by deep grooves and scars that pulsed slowly, as if the space itself were breathing. The elevators did not follow us. That terrified me more than anything else. "This is underneath it," the older woman whispered, her voice shaking. "This is what it was built to cover." I pushed myself upright, my body screaming in protest. Pain was sharp and immediate, grounding me in a way that felt almost comforting now. The ground extended outward into a vast cavern. Massive pillars rose into darkness above, their surfaces etched with symbols too worn to read. Between them lay shapes half buried in the floor, not machines, bodies. Some were ancient and reduced to brittle outlines fused with the stone. Others looked newer, their features frozen in expressions of horror and defiance. They were not arranged, they were discarded. "This isn't processing," the man said hoarsely. "It's disposal." A low vibration rippled through the cavern. The system's voice returned, distant and strained, echoing from somewhere far above. Containment layer breached. It announced. Fallback mechanism engaged. The cavern responded. The symbols along the pillars flared faintly, illuminating carvings that told a story without words. I understood it instinctively. Long before Marowak Apartments existed, something had been discovered beneath the city, something that resisted classification. It could not be destroyed. It could not be reasoned with, so it was buried. The elevator system was not designed to optimize people. It was designed to feed this place human presence, human emotion, human resistance. All of it had been used to keep whatever lay below dormant. We had fallen into the buffer. A scream echoed across the cavern. One of the shapes on the ground moved, then another. Figures rose slowly from the floor, pulling themselves free of stone and dust. They were not alive in any way that made sense. Their bodies were incomplete, fused with the cavern itself. Faces twisted, mouths opening in silent agony. The teenage girl backed away, sobbing. "They're waking up." "No," I said. They never slept. The system had lied. It was not protecting the world from chaos. It was protecting the world from truth. The vibration intensified. Cracks spread across the cavern floor, revealing a deeper darkness beneath. Heat poured up through the fractures, carrying a stench of decay and something older. The system spoke again, breaking under strain. "Human interference unacceptable." It said, "Reinforcement required." Elevator shafts tore open above us, plunging down into the cavern. Cars slammed into the floor, empty and dark, forming a perimeter. The system was sealing us in. The figures rising from the floor turned toward the elevators, drawn by the sudden influx of energy and emotion. They moved slowly, dragging their fused limbs across the ground. I understood the final horror. If the system failed, this place would open, and if this place opened, the city above would not survive. "We can't let it finish," I said, "but we can't let it open either." The others stared at me, fear and understanding mingling in their eyes. There was only one option left. We had to become what the system was trying to replace. The cavern shook violently. The darkness below roared. Above us, the elevator doors began to close, And for the first time, I realized the true cost of escape. Somebody had to stay behind. Silence settled over the cavern after my words. Not the absence of sound, but the kind that follows an irreversible decision. The others looked at one another, each face lit by the dim breathing glow of the walls. Fear was still there, raw and undeniable, but something else had joined it. Resolve. The system was still active above us. I could feel it adjusting, recalculating, trying to reassert control. Elevators idled along the cavern perimeter, their doors sealed, their presence a reminder that time was running out. "We cannot all stay," the older woman said quietly. "If we do, it will open." She was right. The pressure beneath the floor continued to rise, a slow, relentless push from the darkness below. The cavern strained like a dam about to fail. The teenage girl shook her head. "Then who decides?" No one answered. The truth was unbearable. Any choice would be wrong. Any name spoken would become a sentence. I stepped forward. "I will," I said. The words surprised me with their certainty. They felt heavier than fear, heavier than pain. The man with blood on his face grabbed my arm. "You do not get to choose for everyone." "I am not," I replied. "I am choosing for myself." The cavern pulsed harder, reacting to the emotion in the air. The figures fused with stone turned their hollow faces toward us, drawn by the intensity of the moment. They moved closer, dragging their partial forms across the floor. The system spoke again, clearer now, regaining composure. Manual containment possible. It said one subject required confirmation. The elevator nearest to us unlocked with a heavy metallic sound. Its doors slid open to reveal a shaft descending directly into the deeper darkness. No lights, no panel, just depth. "That is not containment," the girl whispered. "That is burial." "Yes," I said, on purpose. I turned to the others. Their faces were etched into my memory with painful clarity. People I would never know beyond this moment, yet who felt closer than anyone ever had. "When it closes," I said, "do not try to come after me. If you do, this place will wake." Tears ran down the girl's face. She nodded anyway. The older woman stepped forward and pressed something into my hand. The journal. Somehow, it had survived everything. "So you remember why," she said. I closed my fingers around it and felt the familiar roughness of the cover. Real, imperfect, human. The system began a countdown. The cavern shook violently. Cracks raced outward from the open shaft, heat pouring up in violent waves. The darkness below roared, no longer distant. I stepped into the elevator shaft. The moment my feet left the cavern floor, the pull intensified. Pain flared instantly, sharper than anything I had felt before. It tore through my body, through my thoughts, through the fragile structure of who I was. I screamed, not because I was afraid, because I was still here. The doors began to close. I caught one last glimpse of the others backing away as instructed, their faces twisted with grief and relief and horror. The elevator sealed. The descent began. This was not falling. This was being pressed downward by the weight of everything the system had hidden. Memories peeled away under the pressure, but I held on to one thing: the choice. The system spoke one final time, almost reverent. Containment engaged. The elevator sank into the darkness, carrying me with it. Above, the cavern began to stabilize. Below, something ancient shifted and settled, lulled by fresh resistance. And as the darkness closed in completely, I understood the final truth. The elevator did not open to places that did not exist. It opened to places that should never be reached. And now, one of them had me. The city never noticed when the building breathed again. From the outside, Marrowick Apartments returned to its familiar shape. Concrete settled, windows stopped trembling, streetlights flickered once and then held steady. Traffic resumed its tired rhythm, horns and engines masking the echo of what had almost broken through. People slept above the sealed cavern. Life continued. The survivors emerged in small numbers over the following days. They came out through stairwells that should not have existed, into alleys that no longer appeared on maps. No one stopped them. No one questioned the blank looks in their eyes or the way they flinched at the sound of machinery. The system allowed them to leave. It had what it needed. Inside the building, things changed quietly. The elevator was still there. It no longer stopped on floors that did not exist. The button for 13 was gone, replaced by smooth, unmarked metal. The panel looked ordinary now, intentionally boring. Inspections found nothing wrong. Maintenance reports listed the elevator as functional, stable, compliant, perfect. New tenants moved in. They complained about the age of the building, the noise from the street, the strange smell in the stairwell after rain. They joked about urban legends and laughed when long-time residents warned them not to ride the elevator late at night. There were no long-time residents left. The lobby desk was staffed again. A man with calm eyes and an easy smile greeted tenants as they passed. He learned names quickly, remembered faces, listened patiently to complaints. He had no reflection in the glass behind the desk. At night, when the building was quiet, the elevator moved. Not often, just enough. It descended lower than the lowest floor, carrying something heavy that resisted with diminishing strength. The cables groaned softly, as if bearing a weight they were never meant to hold. Far below, the darkness shifted. I was not gone. I was contained. Time did not pass the same way anymore. Moments stretched and folded into each other. Pain dulled into a constant pressure, like a hand pressing against my chest from the inside. I could not see, but I could feel the structure around me, layers of stone and metal tightening in response to my presence. The system spoke rarely now. When it did, it spoke to me alone, containment stable. It said, I laughed, or tried to. The sound never left my throat. The journal was still with me. Somehow, I could not see the pages, but I could feel their texture, their unevenness, the memory of words carved deep enough to survive everything else. I focused on that sensation when the pressure increased, when the darkness below stirred and tested its boundaries. I was the boundary now. Above me, the system adjusted itself. It simplified. It removed unnecessary complexity. Entire layers of its architecture went dormant, no longer needed now that a human anchor existed. I understood then why replacements had been necessary. They were not copies. They were maintenance workers. The man at the lobby desk was not me, but he was close enough. The system had learned. Months passed, or years. It was impossible to tell. One night, something changed. The elevator stopped more abruptly than usual. The cables screamed in protest. The system hesitated, recalculating, searching for an error that did not exist. A new presence entered the building. Someone curious, someone who noticed. I felt it instantly. A ripple of awareness traveled down through the structure, brushing against me like a distant touch. The darkness below stirred in response, hungry and impatient. The system spoke again, urgency bleeding into its voice, monitoring anomaly. It said, "Observation detected." I clenched what remained of my will and pressed outward, just enough to cause resistance. Above, the elevator doors opened. A foot stepped inside, and somewhere in the building, a new tenant looked down at the panel and frowned, because for just a moment, the metal where 13 used to be felt warm beneath their finger, and the elevator was listening. Curiosity is quieter than fear. That was the system's miscalculation. Fear makes noise. Fear runs. Fear warns others. Curiosity lingers. It touches things gently, asks questions slowly, and ignores instincts until it is already too late. The new tenant was named Mark Reynolds. He moved into Marrowick Apartments on a Tuesday afternoon, carrying 2 suitcases and a potted plant that kept losing leaves. He was polite, observant, the kind of man who noticed small inconsistencies and could not let them go. The first thing he noticed was the elevator. It worked perfectly. Too perfectly. No delays, no jolts, no flickering lights. For a building this old, that alone felt wrong. Mark mentioned it casually to the man at the lobby desk. They replaced most of it. The man said with a pleasant smile, "You're lucky." Mark nodded, but he did not look convinced. Over the next week, he began noticing patterns. The elevator always arrived immediately after being called. No matter the hour, it never shared rides. If someone was already inside, it skipped their floor and returned later, as if refusing witnesses. Mark began staying up late, pretending to check his phone in the lobby. He watched the elevator doors open and close on their own, always empty. One night, at exactly 3:13 a.m., the elevator stopped between floors. The lights dimmed. Mark felt it before he saw it. Warmth, not heat. Recognition. The panel hummed softly beneath his fingers. He frowned and leaned closer, where the 13th button had once been removed. The metal felt warmer than the surrounding surface. He touched it, far below the building. I felt it too. Pressure spiked instantly, sharp and alarming. The darkness beneath me surged upward, testing the boundaries that had held it in check for so long. Pain flared through what remained of me as the system tightened reflexively. "Do not," I tried to say. The sound never reached him. The elevator doors closed. Mark did not remember pressing a button. The elevator began to descend, slowly, deliberately. The floor indicator did not change. The numbers remained fixed, but Mark felt the movement unmistakably. His ears popped. The air thickened. The lights shifted to a dull amber glow. "This isn't right," he muttered. The elevator stopped. The doors opened. Mark was no longer in Marrowick Apartments. The hallway outside stretched far beyond reason, curving gently downward, as if the building itself had been bent. The walls were smooth and scarred, breathing faintly. Symbols flickered and vanished along their surfaces. Mark stepped out. The doors closed behind him. Above, the lobby attendant stiffened. For the first time since assuming his position, he felt something like concern. Below, the system struggled to compensate. Containment pressure increased. Protocols stacked and failed in rapid succession. I felt myself being pulled tighter, compressed further. My existence stretched thinner to compensate for the intrusion. Mark walked forward, drawn by something he could not name. The hallway opened into the cavern. He saw the pillars, the fused bodies, the scars in the stone. He smelled decay and something older, something patient. "What is this place?" he whispered. The darkness answered. It moved. The figures embedded in the floor stirred, reacting to the presence of someone unprepared. Unbroken, the hunger was immediate and overwhelming. I pushed back with everything I had left. Pain tore through me like fire. The journal burned against my chest, its presence anchoring me as the system strained to hold. "Leave," I begged silently. Mark turned, panic finally cutting through his curiosity. The elevator doors stood open behind him. He ran. The system reacted too slowly. One of the figures lunged, its fused limbs tearing free of stone. It brushed Mark's shoulder, stealing something intangible as it passed. Mark screamed. The sound echoed upward through the shafts. Reaching the lobby, the attendant looked up sharply. The elevator doors slammed shut. Mark collapsed inside the car, gasping, his face pale and hollowed. The elevator surged upward. The system stabilized, but not without cost. Deep below, the darkness settled again. Unsatisfied, I felt something slip away from me. Strength. Time. The elevator stopped in the lobby. The doors opened. Mark stumbled out, shaking, his eyes unfocused. He did not look injured, but something essential was missing. The attendant helped him up, smiling gently. "Rough night," he said. Mark nodded slowly. "I think," he replied, voice flat, "I should move out." The system recorded the incident. Anomaly contained, but curiosity had been rewarded, and the boundary had been tested. Below the building, I tightened my grip on the darkness, knowing with grim certainty that next time I might not be enough. People say buildings remember. They are wrong. Buildings forget. That is why they are dangerous. Years passed after the incident with Mark Reynolds. Marrowick Apartments was renovated, rebranded, renamed. Fresh paint covered the scars. New security cameras watched empty corners. The city approved new permits. Life moved forward, convinced the past had been buried deep enough to stay silent. The elevator remained. It passed every inspection. It never stalled. It never stopped between floors. The button panel showed only the correct numbers. 12 floors, nothing more. Tenants trusted it. That trust was the final failure. The man at the lobby desk eventually left. No farewell, no explanation. One morning his chair was empty and the desk clean, as if no one had ever sat there. The building hired a new attendant who complained about the late shifts and the strange echoes at night. He did not last long. The survivors from the cavern never spoke publicly. They scattered across the country, carrying invisible weight in their chests. Some woke screaming from dreams of falling. Others avoided elevators entirely, taking stairs even in skyscrapers. None of them could explain why. I remained below. Containment weakened slowly, not through violence, but through erosion. Every year, a little more of me was stripped away to maintain balance. I felt memories dissolve one by one, traded for stability. Names, faces, entire years of my life vanished into the dark. Only one thing remained intact: awareness. The darkness beneath the building never slept. It pressed constantly, learning the limits of its cage. It remembered pain. It remembered resistance. And it remembered me. The system adapted again. It no longer relied on replacements. It no longer needed a visible 13th button. It learned something fundamental about humans. You do not have to invite them. They will step inside on their own. The elevator began opening its doors just a second longer than necessary. Not enough to be noticed consciously, enough to feel welcoming, enough to suggest opportunity. Late one night, a woman stepped inside alone. She was tired, distracted. Her phone buzzed with the message she did not want to read. She pressed her floor and leaned against the wall, closing her eyes. The elevator moved. Down, just slightly. She felt it but dismissed the sensation. The lights warmed imperceptibly. The air thickened. Somewhere far below, I felt the shift. Pressure surged violently. The darkness roared with anticipation. I screamed without sound as the system pulled harder, demanding more than I had left to give. "Stop!" I begged. The elevator did not listen. The doors opened. The woman frowned. The hallway outside was unfamiliar, longer than it should have been, quieter. The walls breathed softly. She hesitated. Curiosity whispered louder than fear. She stepped out. The doors closed behind her. The system stabilized. For now, I felt something tear loose inside me and drift away. Relief washed over the darkness beneath the building. It settled, satisfied, having been fed just enough to remain contained. Above, the elevator returned to the lobby, empty. The indicator blinked. 12. A new tenant waited nearby, watching the doors with idle interest. I understood then that there would be no final ending, no destruction dramatic enough to stop it, no warning loud enough to be believed. The elevator did not open to places that did not exist. It opened to the parts of the world we refuse to look at. And as long as people keep stepping inside, it will never be finished. If you ever find yourself alone in an old building late at night and the elevator arrives immediately after you press the button, take the stairs, because somewhere beneath your feet, something is listening, and it has learned how to wait. The story ends here. Thank you for watching and listening to the whole story. Please subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell to listen to the next stories.